Once upon a time, owning an album was a sacred ritual. You didn't just listen, you experienced it. You memorized the track list, studied the artwork, knew the credits. Albums like Michael Jackson's Thriller or Whitney Houston's debut album weren't just records, they were events, eras, identity. Today, these same cultural landmarks are vanishing, not physically, but in meaning and prominence in the way we interact with them. Classic albums are being lost, not just from store shelves, but from memory. Streaming promised unlimited access, but ironically, it caused some of the most important music in the history to become invisible. Take the Wu-Tang Clan's 1993 debut album, Enter the 36 Chambers. Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. Once considered essential listening for any hip-hop fan, it rarely surfaces on curated playlists or algorithm-driven suggestions. It's still technically available on platforms, but it's buried beneath newer, shinier content. You need to seek it out, and many younger listeners simply never stumble across it. Even Michael Jackson's post-Thriller work has suffered. Albums like Dangerous and History contain some of his most experimental, political, and emotional raw music, but they've just faded away in the public eye, overshadowed by Thriller's legacy and the broader shifts in pop culture. When was the last time you heard Stranger in Moscow in a playlist, or Earth Song recommended by algorithm? And then there's Aaliyah, whose catalog was entangled in legal disputes for 2 decades. For years, One in a Million and her self-titled album were unavailable on streaming platforms entirely until a 2021 release revived them. But that gap meant that for years, a cornerstone of R&B history was absent from digital culture. The physical album once meant everything. Owning a Whitney Houston record meant more than just hearing her voice. It meant holding the iconic cover, reading her thank yous, seeing the production credits from Clive Davis to Narada, Michael Walden. But with the decline of physical media, we lost not just sound, but context. Albums like Whitney's I'm Your Baby Tonight or Janet Jackson's The Velvet Rope were full statements, emotionally complex, genre blending, and cohesive in ways you don't feel when tracks are plucked apart and tossed into random playlists. Even with reissues, and some albums can be truly revived. The Wu-Tang Clan's secret album Once Upon a Time in Shaolin was sold in a private buyer and kept from the public eye for years. That album literally disappeared, not due to obscurity or neglect, but by design. It became a luxury artifact instead of a piece of living music. Spotify doesn't care if Michael Jackson's changed pop music forever or that Lawrence Hill's miseducation defined a generation. It cares about engagement metrics. If listeners don't click, skip, or save fast enough, the algorithm drops the song like it never existed. That's how Michael's Off the Wall, a funk soul masterpiece, often gets ignored in favor of Billie Jean or Beat It. The hits, deep cuts like I Can't Help It or Burn the Disco Out are cultural gold, yet completely lost to those who never hear full albums. The same goes for Whitney Houston's My Love Is Your Love, a stunning late career reinvention, blending R&B with reggae and hip-hop. It gets buried underneath I Will Always Love You and karaoke culture, never truly appreciated in full. In 2008, a fire ripped through the Universal Studios vault in Los Angeles, lost in the blaze. Master tapes from artists like Nirvana, Aretha Franklin, Louis Armstrong, and yes, Michael Jackson. Original recordings gone forever. And when you lose the masters, you lose the ability to properly remaster, reissue, or revisit these albums in full fidelity. For some works, that means the best version of the album no longer exists. Worse, the industry often fails to protect lesser-known works. TLC's Fan Mail or Missy Elliott's Under Construction game-changing albums in their time now exist in digital formats, often compressed or altered from the original release. Classic albums don't just fade away because of technology. They fade away because we stopped talking about them. And to ask someone today about Whitney's second album, or MJ's History's Disc 2, or Wu-Tang's Iron Flag, these albums were vital, personal to millions, but if they're not boosted by documentaries, TikToks, or viral moments, they dissolve from the cultural conversation. This is how legacy gets rewritten. When a new listener searches for Whitney Houston, the algorithm feeds them I Want to Dance for Somebody, a great song by the way, but not the whole picture. The album isn't just a product, it's a canvas, and describes to be preserved, protected, and re-experienced. Artists like Kendrick Lamar, Beyonce, and Frank Ocean are still crafting albums as statements. Lemonade, To Pimp a Butterfly, Bond. These works prove that long-form music still has culture power. but it's up to us, listeners, curators, platforms, to fight for the format. Let's not let albums like Thriller, The Bodyguard, 36 Chambers, or Dangerous become footnotes. Let's listen from start to finish, loud, on good speakers, with intention, because in a world of infinite music, the danger is forgetting when we already had.
Bye, have a beautiful time.
Mega!